The first thing Kalen noticed was the silence. Not the normal kind. The bar had been loud only a second earlier. Music was playing. Glasses were clinking. Alien merchants were arguing over cargo prices. Humans were laughing around the long metal tables. Then an alien warrior reached across the counter and grabbed a human child. Everything stopped. The child was small, maybe 8 years old. Her name was Maya Carter. She was sitting on a bar stool, swinging her legs while drinking a bright blue fruit soda. Her father was only a few meters away. He had turned his back for less than 10 seconds. That was all it took. The alien warrior's hand closed around Maya's arm. She looked up. The creature standing behind her was enormous. Nearly 3 meters tall, 4 arms, dark metallic armor, a jagged scar running across one side of his face. 2 curved horns rose from his forehead. His species was known across the outer systems as the Varkun, warriors, conquerors, professional killers. The Varkun warrior lifted Maya slightly from the stool. She looked at him. He looked at her. Then he smiled. "You are alone, little creature." Maya shook her head. "No." The warrior laughed. "Your father." Maya pointed toward the other side of the bar. "My dad is over there." The warrior looked. A human man was standing near the counter. His name was Daniel Carter. He was wearing an ordinary work jacket. No armor, no weapon, nothing that looked dangerous. The Varkun warrior grinned. "Then perhaps your father should come here." Daniel turned. He saw the warrior holding his daughter. His face changed, not dramatically. He didn't shout. He didn't run. He simply stopped moving. "Maya." The girl looked at him. "Dad?" Daniel's eyes remained fixed on the alien's hand. "Put her down." The warrior laughed. "You give orders to a Varkun?" "No." Daniel took one step forward. "I asked you." The warrior squeezed Maya's arm. She winced. That was when the music stopped. Nobody had touched the controls. The bartender simply lowered his hand. The entire bar had gone quiet. Every human had stopped talking. Every human had stopped drinking. Every human was looking at the Varkun. The alien warrior slowly looked around. Dozens of humans were staring at him. Some were pilots. Some were miners. Some were engineers. Some were soldiers. Some were tourists. None of them were armed. At least, not visibly. The warrior smiled. "Are you all frightened?" Nobody answered. Daniel took another step. "Maya." The little girl looked at her father. "I'm okay." Daniel nodded. "I know." Then he looked at the warrior. "You have 5 seconds." The Varkun laughed. "5 seconds for what?" Daniel answered quietly. "To put my daughter down." The warrior lifted Maya higher. "Or." Daniel looked around the room, at every human face. Then he looked back at the alien. "Or you find out why this place became known as a human station." The Varkun laughed louder. "You think numbers frighten me?" "No." Daniel shook his head. "I think you're about to learn that numbers aren't the problem." The warrior frowned. "What is the problem?" Daniel didn't answer. Someone behind the bar slowly stood up. Then another human stood. Then another. A woman near the entrance placed her glass on the table. She stood. A mechanic in oil-stained clothes stood next. Then 2 cargo pilots. Then 3 miners. Then an old man sitting alone in the corner. One by one, every human in the bar stood. The Varkun looked around. His smile disappeared. There were 32 humans. 32. Still nobody spoke. Maya looked around the room. She wasn't crying. She wasn't screaming. She simply whispered. "Dad?" Daniel answered without taking his eyes off the warrior. "Yes? Are they angry?" Daniel smiled slightly. "No." Maya looked confused. "Then why did they stand up?" Daniel's voice became softer. "Because you're ours." The Varkun's eyes narrowed. "You are threatening me over one child?" Daniel looked directly into his eyes. "No." He paused. "We're warning you." The warrior suddenly threw Maya toward the floor. Daniel moved. So did everyone else. But Daniel reached her first. He caught her before she hit the ground. He dropped to one knee. "Maya." She wrapped her arms around his neck. "I'm okay." Daniel checked her arm. There was a red mark. His expression became colder. He stood slowly. The Varkun warrior had reached for his weapon. That was when a human voice came from behind him. "Don't." The warrior turned. A woman stood near the bar. She was wearing a mechanic's uniform. No armor. No visible weapon. The Varkun laughed. The woman smiled. "Yeah, Why should I listen to you? She pointed toward the ceiling. Because this entire station is built around a human military emergency network. The warrior looked upward. The lights were still normal. He didn't understand. The woman continued. And every human in this bar just triggered it. The Varkun froze. You're lying. A small sound came from the ceiling. Beep, then another. The bar's emergency system activated. Red lights appeared. A computerized voice spoke. Human civilian protection procollective. The Varkun stared. What is this? Daniel answered. The part where you leave. The warrior pulled his weapon. Instantly, 32 humans moved. Not randomly, not chaotically. They moved together. The miners formed a line. The pilots blocked the exits. The mechanic reached under the counter. The bartender locked the doors. Daniel moved Maya behind him. The Varkun suddenly realized something. These people weren't civilians. Not really. They were humans. And every human had apparently decided that the same rules applied. The warrior pointed his weapon at Daniel. You think you can intimidate me? Daniel shook his head. No. Then what are you doing? Giving you a chance. The warrior laughed. You have no authority over me. Daniel looked at him. Maybe. Then he glanced at Maya. But I have a reason. The Varkun raised his weapon. The entire bar held its breath. Then Maya stepped out from behind her father. Dad! Daniel immediately looked down. What? Maya pointed at the alien. He looked scared. The bar went completely silent. The Varkun stared at the child. Scared? Maya nodded. Yeah, she tilted her head. You are scared, aren't you? The warrior's expression hardened. I fear nothing. Maya looked at her father. That's what scared people say. One human near the back quietly laughed. Then another. The Varkun's face became furious. He raised his weapon. Daniel's voice changed. Maya. She immediately stepped behind him. Daniel looked at the warrior. Last chance. The alien roared. You think a group of soft humans can defeat a Varkun warrior? Daniel took off his jacket. Underneath was an old military shirt. A faded insignia was stitched across his chest. The Varkun's eyes widened. He recognized it. That's impossible. Daniel said nothing. The alien stared at the insignia. You were a soldier? Daniel nodded. Years ago. Daniel looked at him. Doesn't matter. The Varkun took a step backward. No. Daniel frowned. What? I know that symbol. The bar became even quieter. The Varkun lowered his weapon slightly. That symbol belonged to the human defense forces during the siege of Orpheon. Daniel didn't respond. The warrior continued. Your people destroyed 3 Varkun fleets. Daniel sighed. Those were different times. You were there? Daniel looked toward Maya. I was. The warrior stared at him. How many Varkun did you kill? Daniel's eyes became cold. I don't remember. That answer frightened the warrior more than any threat could have. He slowly lowered his weapon. Daniel stepped forward. You grabbed my daughter. I didn't know she was yours. You know now. The warrior swallowed. Yes, then apologize. The Varkun stared at him. You expect a Varkun warrior to apologize to a human? Daniel nodded. Yes. The warrior looked around the room. 32 humans. Not one had moved. Not one had looked away. Finally, the warrior lowered himself. He looked at Maya. I am sorry. Maya looked at him. For what? The warrior hesitated. For grabbing you. Maya considered his apology. Then she nodded. Okay. The warrior slowly stood. Daniel pointed toward the door. Now leave. The Varkun turned. He walked toward the exit. Then he stopped. He looked back. Human. Daniel looked at him. You could have killed me. Yes, you didn't. No. Why? Daniel looked at Maya, then he answered. Because my daughter was watching. The warrior said nothing. He walked out. The doors closed behind him. For several seconds, nobody moved. Then the music started again. The lights returned to normal. The bartender placed a glass in front of Daniel. On the house. Daniel smiled. Thanks. Maya climbed back onto her stool. The mechanic walked over. You know, Daniel? Daniel looked at her. Yeah, that was terrifying. Daniel laughed. I didn't do anything. The mechanic looked around the room. You didn't have to. One of the miners raised his glass to Maya. Everyone raised their glasses. Maya smiled. To me? Daniel nodded. To you. The bar erupted in laughter, but nobody noticed the small figure standing outside the station window, the Varkun warrior. He was looking back at the humans. He had come to the station believing humans were weak. He had expected fear. He had expected surrender. Instead, one frightened child had made an entire room full of strangers stand together. The warrior finally understood something. Humans didn't protect their own because they were stronger. They protected their own because they considered every child worth standing for. He activated his communicator. Report. A voice answered. What happened? The warrior looked through the window one last time. Cancel the operation. Why? He was silent for a moment. Then he answered, because we misunderstood the humans. What did you misunderstand? The warrior looked at Maya. She was laughing beside her father. He lowered his voice. We thought their greatest strength was their weapons. A pause. It isn't. Then what is it? The warrior watched as every human in the bar returned to their seats. But he knew now that if anyone touched that child again, every one of them would stand. Their greatest weapon, he whispered, is that they refuse to let each other stand alone. The transmission ended. Inside the bar, Maya looked at her father. Dad, yes? Was that alien really dangerous? Daniel thought about it. Then he smiled. Probably. Maya frowned. Then why weren't you scared? Daniel looked around the bar, at the humans, at the people who had stood without being asked. Then he looked at his daughter. Because I wasn't standing alone. Maya smiled. And somewhere across the galaxy, an alien warrior carried a new lesson home. Never touch a human child. Because you might be touching the one thing that can make an entire room of humans become a family. And when humans became a family, even the galaxy learned to stand back.